like this position or not. Just like the natural sunlight, I guess. Hey, so I've had quite a busy weekend and I've got quite a busy week, but I wanted to put a video up because I've loved filming them, I've loved editing them, and I've loved putting them up. So I'm gonna do another random questions tag, and this one is called the my first time tag. I'm a little bit nervous, I'm a little bit scared, I have no idea what questions are gonna come up, but I'm excited to see what happens. So the first one is my first tweet. I haven't actually got it to insert it in, but I do remember what it is, and it's something like is dancing in her room to Hannah Montana, I think, and I think I tagged my sister in it at the time. I can remember when I first got Twitter, I was like 13, I think, 13 or 14, and I was one of the first people in my school to have Twitter, and I can remember I tweeted about everything. I would tweet if I was having a sandwich. My first YouTube video was only like last week, so it was an everyday makeup routine. First person I subscribed to on YouTube. I think the first person I subscribed to, oh my gosh, the first person. I have absolutely no idea who the first person was. I know that Velvet Ghost was one of the first people I subscribed to. I got really into her videos when I first started getting pretty obsessed with YouTube after I'd finished my degree. I didn't really have anything else to do with my life, so I got pretty obsessed with YouTube. I think Velvet Ghost or potentially Zoella, which is just standard, but that is just the way it is. Sorry that I keep on looking down, that's where the questions are. My first Facebook profile picture, I'll insert a picture here. It's very bad. It's a picture of me squashed up against one of my other friends with like a teddy in between us all. We'd gone to a drama trip in London and we bought this teddy with a High School Musical top on, and we sang High School Musical, we called him Troy, and we were 14, like, don't judge me, like, we like shared this teddy for years, like, honestly, like, I've still got it at home actually, but he doesn't really sing anymore. He sounds more like a demon or something. It's not particularly nice, but yeah. Do I still talk to my first love? No, I do not talk to my first love. Not for any particular reason, we just obviously grew apart. My first love was when I was like 13, 14, so yeah, we just grew apart. He's got his own life, I've got my own life, so no, I don't really talk to him on a daily basis. What was my first alcoholic drink? Oh my first alcoholic drink was probably something really bad, like TVX, which was like the cheap version of Wicked when we were younger, or peach snaps or something like that. It was probably something really rank. We, like, me and my friends used to drink like Archers, just like straight from the bottle, like no mixer whatsoever. We used to go to like a party with like a bottle of Archers, and that would be our drink for the night. We'd just drink like a bottle of mixer basically. It was really like, it's probably really bad for us, not gonna lie, but you know. What was my first job? My first job was in a clothing store actually. I worked in Dorothy Perkins in my hometown for 3 years before I went to university, so that was my first job. I had a proper first job, I guess. I never had a paper round or anything like that. My first job was in a clothes shop, so got the discounts in there. What was my first car? Well, I've never actually owned a car. The first car that I ever drove, and the first, like, the car that I can drive when I go home, is a Citroen C1. And my granddad bought it for us, so that was the car he bought just before my sister could learn how to drive. She's 3 years older than me. Then obviously I could learn how to drive in it, and then my brother. So, who was the first person I texted today? So, the first person I texted today was Nicholas. I texted Nick this morning, who is my boyfriend. So he's the first person, he's the only person I've texted today actually. Well, that's a sad reality of life, isn't it? The first and only person you text is your boyfriend. Who was the first person you thought of this morning? The first person I thought of this morning was actually my mum, because I was talking to my mum last night and she wasn't particularly well, so she was the first person I thought of this morning, and then I texted Nick, so I thought about him. Who was my first grade teacher? Oh god, my first teacher. I can't actually remember what she was called. The first teacher that I can actually remember was someone, I think she was called Miss... I can't actually remember what my year one teacher was called. I have absolutely no idea. I can't answer that question. I'll have to ask my parents, but I have absolutely no idea. I can't recall that one. Where did you go on your first ride on an aeroplane? I think the first place I went was when I was a really small baby. My parents took me to Switzerland with with my sister, but I was full on baby. Like, I cannot remember it all. So that's why we went to Switzerland. It's quite cool. Who was your first best friend and do you still talk? My first best friend was a girl called Christy Milburn. Me and her were like bread and butter, like we would not be found apart from each other. We were very, very close. But then I moved away from the town that I was born in, so we sort of lost touch. I've still got her on Facebook and things like that, so every now and again we'll sort of talk to each other a little bit, but we're not like obviously best friends anymore. I think it's quite rare that you find people that are still like best friends from like a very young age these days. Where was my first sleepover? Gosh, my first sleepover was probably like Hannah Brooker's house, which is probably like, she's my oldest friend now. My first sleepover was probably at Hannah's house, I would say. I can't actually remember the first specific one, but actually wait, no, I've had sleepovers before then. I think I slept over at Christy's house. Yeah, so my first best friend's house in Whitehaven, I'm pretty sure I can remember sleeping at her house. But maybe not, because I was only like 7. I'm gonna go with Hannah. Either Hannah or Emma Lorden. So Hannah Brooker or Emma Lorden. One of those two, because they were two of my close friends. But definitely. It must have been Hannah or Emma. They were like my close friends in like first school. So what was the first thing I did this morning? The first thing I did this morning was roll over and turn off my alarm because I didn't want to get up. And then I rolled out of bed and did my makeup. So that's the first thing I did this morning, sort of sobbed silently that I had to get up, and then I got up and did my makeup. So, what was the first concert you ever went to? I think the first concert I ever went to actually was either Steps or Hearsay. Like, I can remember going on like road trips from like Whitehaven to Newcastle with like my mum, her friends, some like family friends and stuff. And I'm pretty sure one of my first concerts that I went to was probably Steps. I can still remember that concert to this day, and I'm not gonna lie, went to the reunion tour, I cried quite a lot, and that was a few years ago now. That was at the end of my first year. My god, that was like 4 years ago. But yeah, it was an amazing night. I still love Steps to this day. I'm not even gonna get embarrassed about that. My first broken bone, never broken a bone, actually. The only thing I've ever done is sort of like, I kind of broke my nose when I was a kid. So essentially, I pulled out the middle seat belt in my granddad's car, like really, really far, and then let it go, and it like hit me at the top of my nose. So now I've got like a bump in my nose, and I'm pretty sure that's where it's from. I like to think that that's where it's from. Quite a lot of people in my family seem to think it's hereditary because my nana has a bump in her nose and so does my auntie, but mine's like a full-on like dip and then it goes back out and then it's a bump. So I think that mine got damaged when I got hit in the face by a seatbelt all through my own fault. So I can't really be upset about that. First piercing I ever had was my ears. I had to take them out 2 weeks later, and then I got them re-pierced the year after, but that's a story for a different video. It's disgusting, but yeah. My first piercing, and my only piercing, is my ears. I haven't got anything else pierced. First foreign country you've gone to. The first foreign country I've gone to would be the same as the first place I went on a plane, which is Switzerland. I'd say that's my first one. I haven't heard any others from my parents, but I'm pretty sure that would be the first one I ever went to. First movie you remember seeing? The first movie that I can remember clearly watching when I was younger, I think I must have been like 7 or 8. I was obsessed with the Titanic, and I still am now. It's one of my favourite films. I could watch it probably every day. It's pretty emotional though. I cry quite a lot when I watch Titanic, but I love it so much. I've always loved it. My cousin lent it to me on video, and I wore out the video, so my parents had to replace it. And then I cried when we had to give it back, so my dad bought it for me on DVD because I was so upset that we had to give it back. So it's honestly like, it's one of my all-time favourite films. Like I adore it. I love it so much. I have no idea why, but the whole thing makes me so happy. I don't even know why. I think it's because it's like a tragic love story. Obviously it's not very nice when the ship sinks, but you could just turn it off before then and just pretend it never happened, even though it did. Pretty tragic. But yeah, that's the first the first film I can properly remember watching is Titanic, if not something like The Lion King, or like Sleeping Beauty or something. I can remember watching those on video as well, actually. Probably The Lion King or Sleeping Beauty. before Titanic, but definitely I remember watching Titanic a lot. When was my first detention? My first detention was actually when I was in high school, so I was probably in like year 10, and it was a lunchtime detention because I hadn't done my science homework, and I was meant to sit there and do my science homework, but I still didn't do it. Rebel. But yeah, like, I didn't get detention for doing anything particularly bad. It was mainly just stupid little things like, oh, you haven't done your homework, Laura, so you have to stay in at break time. It's like 15 minutes, I don't really care. At least I don't have to go outside in the rain or the cold. Like, I didn't really mind. I wasn't really much of an outdoor person anyway, so I didn't particularly care about staying inside. Who was my first roommate? So the first person I lived with was people in first year, so I had Nathan, Courtney and Abby as my first roommates, which were in first year. I'm still friends with Abby to this day. I love Abby to bits. If you had one wish, what would it be? One wish. I think my one wish would probably be quite selfish, and it would be to be happy being me. What was the first sport you were involved in? The first sport I was involved in properly was swimming. I went swimming quite a lot when I was a kid. I still love swimming to this day. But the first sport that I sort of competed in was volleyball. I did a lot of sort of beach volleyball and things like that. I absolutely loved volleyball. It was so much fun. I wish I could get back into it now, but I'd just be rubbish at it now, and I think I'd be too scared of the ball, to be honest. It would come flying towards me and I'd either cry or run away, so I just wouldn't be as good as it. I used to be quite aggressive when I was a kid, but yeah. What was the first thing you do when you get home? The first thing I do when I get home is get into comfy clothes. So I normally scrape my hair back, get off my jeans, put on some comfy clothes. I tend to get into sort of like my pyjamas and stuff. I just tend to get comfy straight away, make myself a cup of tea, put on some like Pretty Little Liars or something on Netflix, and then just get on with whatever I need to get on with in the evening. So be that any job applications that I need to get done, any cleaning that I need to get done, blog posts, videos, stuff like that. Just sort of get them done in the evenings. When was my first kiss? Oh, I think I was either 12 or 13. It was the most awkward first kiss in history. I swear to God, it was awful. It was horrible. I can remember like our teeth clattered together. It was on like the side of like a really busy road, like back in my hometown. So like people were watching, and it was so uncomfortable. It was raining. It was like, it wasn't ideal. It was like one of the worst things ever. But to be honest, if I'd never had that first kiss, I may have never been kissed until this day. So I'm kind of glad that it was out of the way. But yeah, it wasn't particularly ideal. But I don't think any first kisses, to be honest. So, but yeah, that's it. That's my first time tag, I guess. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like any more videos like this, then just let me know down in the comments. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.